Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new to the channel, thank you so much for stopping by. If you like what you see, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Really appreciate it. It helps me bring content to you or continue to bring content. Um, Today we are going to be reacting to a video called How I See the US After Living in Germany. And it's by um, Jay Stefan. I've never watched any of his videos, but we are going to check it out today.
Yes, that is a horse walking into a bar, and it's not a joke. I know it sounds like a joke, but it's not a joke.
I could totally see that in happening in America. So
I just wanted to make a tune that you and me can fall in love to. I would hope that you
okay, I'm done.
and me both would like to throw around a tailbone, but in between the text.
Living outside of the USA has made me realize a few things. Well, actually, a lot of things, which I've talked about in a lot of my previous videos. So if you haven't seen those, if you're interested, you might want to check those out. But one thing I've realized, and it has been looming over my head for a while, is that how Americans, us Americans, I am part of this as well, that we are so obsessed with certain things. They're just basically some points that I've observed over the years, especially living in Germany. I had this realization. I was like, wow, I never realized that Americans, us Americans, are so obsessed with certain things. So if you are new here, I am Jay, my other half is Stefan. He's usually behind the camera, but today I'm flying solo. Half of the year we live in Germany and the other half we live here in Southern California. Today we are
Nice.
going to talk about some American obsessions, and I'd love to hear your opinion on these as well. So let's get right into it.
Obsession with
A lot of the
guns.
people around the world do not understand why Americans are so obsessed with guns. If you look at the history of how the USA was formed and the laws of this new land back then, or I guess I should say lack thereof, then you kind of start to understand this obsession, which exists today. It lingers on today. For
It lingers on today big time. And in fact, yesterday there was a shooting. Always seems to happen in Indiana. And so that's really, really scary because that's where I live. But it is just getting insane. It is getting scary. And I've never been like against guns, but I've never been like, for guns or anything. But now that I'm looking at it, it's a huge problem. I mean, it's becoming a huge problem for sure.
guns. But the issue, I think a lot of people around the world would also agree that that was back then, but this is now. And the world has evolved, progression has taken over the world, but in a lot of ways, this obsession with guns is so freaking outdated. It seems to be just completely stuck in the past, and in some ways, it's actually even gotten worse than the past. Now, there are many reasons why this obsession with guns exists.
And after I found out about the shooting, I was looking it up and I noticed one of the cops was like congratulating and uh like making a big deal out of this guy that was there when the shooting happened, and he ended up shooting the shooter and killed him, and everybody's on there like, oh, good job and blah 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 and this and that, and it's like, good job. Like, I mean, I guess he saved he potentially saved a bunch of lives, but does it have to be that deep? I don't know.
I just did a video I think it was a previous video, yeah, where I talked about this obsession with guns. And in that video, I talk about how this gun obsession is linked to political gains, monetary gains, the monopoly that's been created by the NRA. And a lot of Americans have this sense of freedom from owning a gun. Like it or not, a lot of Americans feel owning a gun is an important part of their freedom.
And we also think um, that voting is not a duty either. So that's that. But what I was going to say is that I don't think necessarily for me per se, guns doesn't give me freedom as much as safety, I suppose. I mean, I'm feeling kind of like the black sheep because I don't own a gun. And there's a lot of people that own guns. And so that makes me like the little guy, you know? Uh, uh yeah.
They feel like they have the right to protect themselves when and if a need arises. Then there is this entire other part of it where it's become an important part of masculinity. The bigger the gun, the bigger, well, you know where I'm getting. And that's a part for me, I never really understood this because for me personally, it's completely the opposite. A guy with a gun is literally the least attractive thing to me. But then again, that's just me. But I guess some people like the raw, toxic masculinity.
I mean, maybe, you know how they say if they have a. Never mind. Never mind, guys.
Guns kind of easily roll into this obsession with politics, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press, freedom of assembly, and the right to petition the government. These are the 5 freedoms that US politics is surrounded by and it's based on. And I appreciate, honestly, I appreciate the USA for this. This is why my dad moved to the USA. He could have gone literally anywhere in the world, but he chose to come to the USA. But over the years, Americans have become obsessed with talking about these.
USA used to be the best, though. Maybe. That's what I've always been told, but also it also says that we are number 1 in education, and I know that's bull because we don't even learn a second language until high school, and then whether we obtain that information, that's another story, you know?
Freedoms. They have taken them to a completely different level. And I can tell you firsthand, based on my experience, that American politics is just stupid. 2-party system, and we are in 2022. I know some gung-ho American will counter the woodworks. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just a dumbass on YouTube. We have more parties than these 2 parties. Well, no shit, Sherlock. There are more parties, but the overall politics in the USA is still controlled by 2 parties, Democrats and Republicans. And I personally went from being a Republican to being Democratic to now being repulsed by all of this. It's a shit show that is just outdated. And political candidates spend millions and millions to talk nonsense and make false promises. And
Yeah.
people eat this shit up. The words they use in their speeches have been recycled for decades. And now, for me, it's just comedic. A lot of Americans still believe in this, and they become so freaking obsessed to the point that they start fighting and creating divide within their family.
That's exactly true. Like, it becomes like nobody around here, it's like cussing for anybody to talk about whether they got vaccinated or not. Because when it comes down to it, it's a political thing, but also who we voted for. Um, I know that, man, I feel like a little bit less than 50% of United States voted for presidency, and that's a huge deal. That's a gigantic deal because that's it's really not fair, it's not. It should be a duty to vote. And with all this stuff happening around here and half the Americans not even happy about what's going on, it's like if you don't vote, you can't complain. I mean, that's just how I feel about it. But
families and friends. So all in all, I think it's a sad, sad part of the USA, which is also funny. Well, funny if you are not surrounded by it all the time. And this obsession is now worse than ever. In 2016, things took a turn in the USA politically. And now there's literally no turning back. The country is divided and continues to be divided further and further as time goes by. Nationalists feel empowered and they will do anything and everything to preserve their nationalism. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to politics, it's no longer obsession, it's far worse than obsession. There's so much more to life than American politics.
absolutely.
Ah, religion. Oh boy. Okay. Someone will also comment about this and be like, well, Europe or Germany specifically is way more religious than the USA. But we are not talking about people practicing religion. What I'm talking
I'm going to put my 2 cents in about this religion thing. Oops. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I'm going to put my 2 cents in real quick about religion. I've never really understood it. I have a higher power that I believe in, but I don't understand, like, okay, there's Christian and all sorts of different religions. How do you know which religion is right? I mean, like, what if you're Buddhist your whole life and then you go to die and the right religion was Christianity? They've been doing everything right this whole time and you have been doing everything wrong the whole time. How do you know? Like, I just don't get it.
talking about here is how people are so obsessed with talking about religion every chance they get. If you haven't seen our video on religion here in the USA, then I think it's a must. It's an eye opener. I had multiple WTF moments while doing that video. I think it's amusing to say the least. So I will link the video at the end of this video so you guys can check it out if you want to. But American politics is so intertwined with religion here in the USA. Religion is used to manipulate votes. The word God is used literally everywhere. Again, if you look at the history of the USA, because an early part of the USA was formed by Puritan sect, who were basically kicked out of England. So they came to this new land claiming that they were escaping religious persecution. In reality, that's not true. They came here to practice religious intolerance. And to this very day, you see this in the form of the right-wing evangelical Christians. This religious obsession goes very deep. A huge part of America has been brainwashed for years. The funny thing is, though, that these types of Americans are the ones that are toting guns and do most of everything which is contradicting their religion. Then
So that's completely true. Just a month ago, and man, I didn't realize I lived in such a bad area until just recently when guns have been so, everywhere and everybody's carrying them on their sides and stuff that, um, uh, I totally lost what I was going to say. Let's see.
most
Maybe I
of
could go back
everything
here.
which is contradicting their
There we go. So somewhere close, about half an hour away, there's this church that was actually on Inside Edition also. Um, and it was a very, very popular church, but come to find out, the preacher, um, he's been like molesting little kids and stuff, and it all came out in the open. He went up on stand and he's just like, I'm stepping down and all this other stuff, and he admitted his sins, but he's kind of very, very vague about it. Well, then afterwards, everybody's like clapping for him, like I don't know why, but then the lady that it happened to went up there with her husband and was like freaking out, like telling everybody the real story. And then after that, everybody was like, "Is this true?" And it just it went into a big crazy old mess. But then everybody started circling around him and praying for him. It's like, is that forgiven? I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to get that deep into it, but it's like for all these years that church was so popular, and come to find out, like there's been some bad stuff happening there this whole time, like very, very, very hypocritical. That's why I don't really go to church. Like I believe in a higher power, and I got my own little beliefs, but when it comes down to it, it's almost like cultish to for me to be in a church. I've never been in one that hasn't made me feel not myself. If that makes any sense.
Religion. Then again, half the shit that they do religiously is all made up anyway. This obsession with religion in America it has been there since the birth of this nation.
Obsession with work.
Now, in the USA, wealth is measured by success, and success is measured by money and titles. If you are a VP or a CEO or a CFO or a COO, whatever it is, as long as you have an executive title, people will automatically look at you with wide eyes. Because of this constant race of chasing after a status to fit into the elite society, Americans overall have become obsessed with work.
It's not so much obsessed, I don't think. It's like I don't think honestly we know any better. Um I always thought it was pretty normal to work a 50-hour week. A lot of people work 50-hour weeks. You get no time with family, and it's just a huge mess. It really is. I missed out on a lot of my oldest son's life. Excuse me, because I had to work. And it just really, really sucks. I feel like we could have gotten a lot closer had things been a little bit different. Like, but I mean, it's happened and whatever, but still sucks.
It's a show and tell who has a bigger house, who drives a nicer car, and to the point, like who has more credit line available on their credit cards. It doesn't even.
God, that is the truth. I've never owned a credit card until recently, last couple of years, only because that's like almost the best way to build your credit. And the only reason why I don't have credit, it's like I almost don't even have any credit at all, but I got hospital bills. So I guess than having no that's better than having no credit at all, I guess, is what they say. But yeah, this America is built to keep the rich rich and the poor poor. I truly believe that.
Stop there. It also goes on to who has more successful friends. So, story time. Stefan and I were hanging out in Los Angeles. This was a few years ago. So, anyways, we were there having drinks, and this woman comes up and she's talking to us, and she literally asks us, "Are you guys anyone important?" So I told her, I was like, we're actually not important at all. We're a nobody. And she literally just turned around and she left. And we were both like, wow, we can't believe this just happened. She was just like way out there. She was at least honest about it, right? So that's one thing I give her credit for. She was just honest with her ridiculousness.
Wait, was that in Germany or America? I gotta go back a little bit.
Can't believe this just happened. She was just like way out there. She was at least, wow, a nobody. And she literally just turned around. She literally asked us, "Are you guys anyone important?" So I told her, I was like, "You're
Sorry,
more
guys.
successful friends." So story time. Stefan and I were hanging out in Los Angeles. This was a few years ago. So, anyways, we were there having drinks, and this woman comes up and she's talking to us, and she literally asks us, "Are you guys anyone important?" So I told her, I was like, we're actually not important at all. We're a nobody. And she literally just turned around and she left. And we were both like, wow, we can't believe this just happened. She was just like way out there. She was at least honest about it, right? So that's one thing I give her credit for. She was just honest with her ridiculousness. But most people just hide it. So when you live in a society which constantly measures people's worth by their success, you can kind of understand why Americans are obsessed with work. That's one part of the work culture. Then there is complete opposite where people obsessively work because they literally have to. They don't have a choice.
That is the complete choice. That's the complete. That's right. He's right. That's what I'm saying. Um, yeah, I may have made a awful decision by being like, okay, I'm done with my job and I'm gonna start YouTube because it really like it put us in a pinch. Our water got shut off, our air conditioning broke. I literally have been so humbled. I've never been so humbled in my entire life. Like just feeling like life got you know, and it's got you good. Um, and it's easy to get behind. Like that was just a couple months ago that I quit my job. I mean, I just literally couldn't do it. I was working like 6 to 4 o'clock every single day for 2 months straight. I didn't get a day off, and then just not feeling appreciated. I've mentioned this a couple times, but it's like it's not even worth it. And at the end of the day, money doesn't bring you happiness. It doesn't bring me happiness. I mean, I struggle with severe depression, and I could have all the money in the world and still be sad as shit, you know?
So ultimately, the work culture here sucks. I know rest of the world thinks that Americans live to work, but in most cases, they have no choice. It's more like they work to survive.
It is.
And this is something I really, really love about the USA. I find that Europeans are sometimes too realistic and sometimes a little pessimistic, whereas most of my German friends think that Americans are way over optimistic. And after living in Germany, I can kind of see that now. But I still somehow love this optimism in the USA. I can also see that being too optimistic can lead to false expectations and people lose touch with reality. I mean, I get all of that. But American life is it's all about work hard, play hard, and always look on the bright side. The reason why Americans are so optimistic, it's because we are a society known for individualism. And individualism fosters need for constant optimism. The way I look at it, I think life is too short to worry about things. Life is too short not to be optimistic. Be optimistic and be a dreamer. That's what I always say to everyone. I was definitely way over the top optimistic, but I think living in Germany over time and also with Stefan in my life, I have more of a balance now of between optimism and reality. And so, in my opinion, Americans are obsessively optimistic because if we were not, our lives would be sad. With this constant political turmoil, divide in the country, and mass shootings, we need optimism, especially now. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching.
That is so true. I think I need to be a little bit more optimistic. I think that may help a little bit. Um, yeah, some days it's hard. A lot of days it's hard. But anyway, I like this video a lot, and I'm gonna have to watch more of him because he's just chill. I like it. I like it a lot. Alrighty, guys. Well, there you have it. Um, if you like the content, make sure you check out his video. It is called Jay Stefan. And make sure you subscribe like I did right now. And if you liked what was said, if you could do me a favor and hit that like button, I would really, really appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks for watching, and you guys have a really good day. Bye.